All right, let's just dive right in. Calories, metabolism, exercise. It can feel like this massive, confusing puzzle, right? Well, today, we're going to put all those pieces together. We're going to make it all make sense.
I think we've all been there. We're constantly told to burn more calories or boost your metabolism. But what on earth does that actually mean? It feels like this mysterious black box. So, you know what? Let's crack that thing open and see how the engine inside really works. So first up, we've got to talk about the engine itself, your metabolism. This is the absolute foundation, the core of how your body uses energy, every single second of every single day. Now, the key thing to get here is that your metabolism isn't just something that kicks in when you go for a run. No way. It's this nonstop 24/7 process that's literally keeping you alive. It's powering your heartbeat, your breathing, even your thoughts while you're fast asleep. I love this analogy because it's so perfect. Your BMR is basically the energy cost of just existing. Before you even get out of bed, before you lift a single finger, your body is already burning a ton of calories. And as you're about to see, it's a way bigger deal than most of us realize. So take a look at this. This is how your daily energy pie gets sliced up. And wow, that massive chunk, up to 70%, is your BMR. That's just your body's basic functions keeping you going. It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? That hour at the gym is important for sure, but it's just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle.
Okay, this is a total game changer. So many people worry that they've broken or damaged their metabolism from dieting, but the science shows that's not really how it works. Your metabolism is incredibly smart. It just adapts. When you eat less, it learns to be more efficient. And the best part? That's not permanent. The adaptation is reversible.
So we've covered the engine. Now let's talk about the fuel that makes it run, calories. And as we're about to find out, not all fuel is created equal, not by a long shot. All right, so that sounds super technical, right? But at its core, that's all a calorie is. It's just a unit of heat, a way to measure the potential energy in our food. But the story gets way more interesting when we look at how our body actually uses that fuel. Now, check this out. This is so cool. Your body actually has to spend energy to get energy. It's called the thermic effect of food. And as you can see, protein is by far the most expensive to process. Your body can burn up to 30% of the calories from the protein you eat just digesting it. This is proof positive that a calorie isn't just a calorie. And that brings us to this really key idea, nutrient density versus calorie density. Nutrient-dense foods, like your veggies and lean proteins, they give you a ton of nutritional bang for your calorie buck. They fill you up. Calorie-dense foods, on the other hand, pack a ton of energy into a tiny package, which makes them super easy to overconsume. The trick is finding that balance that fuels you properly. Okay, engine, check. Fuel, check. Now let's talk about hitting the gas pedal, your physical activity. It can feel kind of vague, right? But there's actually a really neat scientific way to measure it. Let me introduce you to the MET. It's a super simple, universal scale. So 1 MET is just the energy you use sitting still, like right now. An activity with a MET value of, say, 4 means you're burning 4 times the energy you would be just sitting on the couch. It's a fantastic way to compare apples to apples when we talk about exercise. And this table just gives you a great snapshot of what that looks like in the real world. Sedentary is your baseline. Light activity is just kind of casual movement. What we're usually aiming for, what the health guidelines recommend, is spending more time in that moderate to vigorous range. That's where you really start to feel your heart rate and your breathing pick up. But hey, you don't need a fancy watch or a heart rate monitor. The talk test is an amazing and surprisingly accurate tool. If you're moving and you can still hold a conversation, but you probably couldn't belt out your favorite song, you're in that moderate zone. If you can only get a few words out between breaths, you've hit vigorous. Simple, right? And so effective. All right, so how do we actually put all of this information together? Well, this is where we combine our baseline needs, that BMR, with our activity levels to figure out our total energy budget. This is how we can start making real progress towards our goals. So if weight loss is one of your goals, the absolute key is to create a safe and sustainable energy deficit. It's really a simple 3-step process. First, know your baseline. Second, add in all your activity to find your maintenance level. And then from there, you just create a moderate, gentle deficit. No crash dieting required.
And this number, 500, is a really solid rule of thumb. A moderate deficit of about 500 calories a day is so widely recommended because it's sustainable. It helps you lose fat while minimizing muscle loss and avoiding those harsh metabolic slowdowns that come from cutting way too much, way too fast.
But, and this is so important, more is not better. Your body will send you very clear warning signs if you're pushing it too hard. These are not things you just power through. These are serious red flags telling you that your body is not getting the basic fuel it needs to function properly. Please listen to them. And that brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole conversation, because understanding the numbers is powerful, but true, lasting health is about building a better system. It's about focusing on sustainable habits, not just restriction. You know, for a lot of people, strict calorie counting just becomes a massive source of stress. And if that's you, that's okay. There are fantastic alternatives. Using your hand as a simple guide for portions, eating mindfully so you notice when you're full, focusing on food quality, these things can often get you to the exact same place with a whole lot less mental baggage.
At the end of the day, this is the bottom line. The perfect plan on paper is completely useless if you can't actually stick with it. Real, long-term success comes from finding an approach that gives you energy, makes you feel good, and fits into your actual life without driving you crazy. So, we've unpacked the science. We've looked at the engine, the fuel, the accelerator. But all that data can only take you so far. The numbers can tell you how much energy you need, but they can't tell you what to do with it. Only you can decide what it's all for. So I'll leave you with this. What does a healthy, energized life truly look like for you?